Alright guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today we are at Limitless again. We're in for pull. So a body part that actually is relatively strong for me, has always been relatively strong for me, is my back. And I do believe that is down to just, unlike my chest, actually having quite good, straight off the bat, my muscle connection with my back musculature. But nevertheless, it's still an area that for me to get onto the pro stage, or to earn my pro status in any other federation, I've got to have more density and more muscle. So being very strategic in the way that I do sort of play out my back training in terms of exercise sequencing and just the overall layout of every session and how it leads into one another is still very important. So I have now got 2 back sessions, one with a lower back loading approach where you'll see my RDLs, which you've already seen on the channel already. And then I've got this session, which is no lower back loading. So we will aim to reduce the overall fatigue from this session so that then the leg day that follows, and then obviously the preceding pull day as well, we're very, very fresh for that, both myself and Loz. So I assume that at some point I may be able to handle a little bit higher lower back loading as I get sort of closer and closer to a body fat set point that's very comfortable for me, which I believe is probably going to be about another £5 away, which would be about 15 pounds above stage weight. And when that point arrives, I may actually try and play about with how much lower back loading I can handle and try and find that sort of maximum threshold, which might be just the one lower back loading pull session. It'd be a shame though, because I'd really like to just deadlift, RDL, barbell row, and do all of the big moves. But sometimes, and this is something that I'll talk about a little bit more when we get into the session, we have got to go with effectiveness over entertainment value. So a lot of you guys with your training at the moment will just go off entertainment value. So you may even watch a YouTube video like this and go into your pull session and just completely change it, just because you've seen the entertainment value of mine and you've wanted something new. And that's something I want to drill into, especially the younger audience that are watching this. Don't go off pure entertainment value with your training. We've really got to try and be as effective as possible if your goal specifically is building as much muscle as you possibly can build, which arguably is most of your goals. You take things very seriously, I can imagine. So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit today. And other than that, hope you guys are all well. Grab a beverage, grab a protein snack, and enjoy watching.
And again, let's go. Come on. 8. Right.
Give me some. Yep, mine. Take. Okay, so I've always started pull sessions for the last, I think, 4 months since getting it off Jordan with adductors, and actually looked back the other day to see photos of me about a year ago, and and my legs just look completely different. Provided, of course, I'm leaner, and losing fat around your knee joint and your hip joint will make your legs appear bigger because you have less fat in those areas, which gives you more sweep and allows you to see the actual muscularity you have. But you can't lie, my legs have definitely improved. And I think actually, Cuba said it the other day, but I wouldn't be surprised if I did add a little bit of muscle during the diet, just because of how effective the training was and how I was doing too much in the past. Just one set today is all we need on the adductor, and we'll come back and we'll do one set on the adductor prior to our leg sessions as well. That's the way we're rolling this. Come on. Yeah, it's perfect. Come on. Go. Good. Go. Yeah, come on. Yes. Come on, go again. Yeah, come on. Go, 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 go. Drive it, drive it, drive it. Yes. Good. One. One more rep. Yeah, that's all you. Take it all the way in. Touch, get short. There you go. Good. Alright, roll. So specific machines for Loz is a little bit of a difficulty considering her limitations on height. So we have to make sure that, especially with leg kit, we use her warm-ups to dictate whether the machine is going to be effective or not. Obviously in Ultraflex we're fine. You know everything works and know where the seat heights are, etc. Make a note in your logbook for the seat heights, especially in your home gym, so you know exactly where to set it up, and then rocking and rolling. But obviously when we're traveling, which is rare but quite a frequent occurrence at the moment, we just try it out, see whether it feels good, and go from there. Quite a lot of people do tend to like my machine analysis. So this is a Precor chest supported T-bar. I quite like this one from Precor. The only thing that I would change is I'd have this a little higher, so the re-rack position a little bit higher, because even for me, I have short arms, so I can't actually get in and strap in without being all the way up here. And then my foot position, I actually like it on the floor, because I find that I have more stability here. So again, it's probably not the best T-bar I've used. I actually struggle to find a T-bar that actually ever feels good. This is probably up there with some of the better ones for sure. Once your rib cage is fixed, keep it there. That's it. There. Alright, so next up, we've got the Matrix lat pull down. No, I'm joking. We're not using that piece of shit. We're using the Nautilus Nitro Row. This is the seated non-chest supported version. We've got the seated chest supported version on the other day that we do here. Both impeccable rows. Allow complete freedom of the wrist joint because of the rotating handles, so no need for D-handles on these. Sorry, Josh. And yeah, just lovely pieces of equipment. They also do these in plate loaded versions and they're amazing as well. I think Gym Shop are bringing out a sort of replica of these pieces of equipment this year, so keep your eyes out if you are a gym owner and you want quality pieces. The old Nautilus range is something to definitely look at. So some coaching points here. Actually, Loz on the warm-ups was allowing her torso to shift. We want to keep that torso rigid and want to keep the rib cage locked, and then want to imagine the handles are actually going upwards slightly, and then we're creating like a downward arc with our elbow towards our hip, and that should align quite nicely with the lat. We can actually sort of internally rotate the handles a little bit as well as we come to that shortened position, and aim to sort of stay with the elbows close and tight, and hold that contraction for like a 1 count, making sure that we are getting the lat fully short every time. So yeah, the stack should be on the cards for like a first set of 8 to 10, and then we'll probably just shift it up a little bit for a higher rep set. Like the set pretty much ended for me and Loz when we couldn't maintain position anymore, and that means that our lats are done, and if we wanted to take the set any further, we just have to start involving probably erectors within this, and maybe even if you're really getting carried away, you can involve like your quads and like action at the knee joint. So the only real action or movement point on this should actually be just the elbow joint, and arguably you could induce more of a stretch and like allow the torso to move, but I feel with this one in particular, if you want to keep it on the lats, allowing that rib cage and the torso to stay static just feels a little bit better for me. So we'll aim to get a stretch on our next exercise where we can overload that lengthened position. Yeah. Alright, so we've moved on to a D-handle lat pull down. We were going to do this prone, lying on a bench, but we couldn't find a bench. There's very limited benches here, to be honest. So this again is another lat dominant move. So we want to shift our torso, well, I like to shift my torso a little bit back on a traditional lat pull down, just a little bit, and then keep the rib cage again locked, and just thinking about bringing that upper arm down to our hip. In this particular exercise, we will spend a little bit longer in that lengthened position, and arguably, like again, we'll want to spend a little bit of time in the shortened, but we can sort of overload that lengthened a little bit because we're in a position of stability at that point. Whereas if we're overloading the lengthened, or the stretch, sorry, in basic terms, the stretch on that compound row, we have no back support, we have no stability, and therefore will compromise our preceding reps a little bit in terms of accuracy. So here's an exercise where we can spend a little bit more time safely there. Stay on. Yeah. Come on. Let me try. Go down. Yes. Yeah, good. Okay, stay with me now on every rep.
Let's go. Down, down.
That's my lat short. 2 more. More, give me more. 1.
Let's go.
There, that's it. Your lat short, done. No further. 1 more. Take it a little bit. There, that's it. Good. For a lot of people on lat movements as well, especially vertical pulls, they do try and finish the elbow way too low. The lat actually hasn't got the capacity to be able to bring your elbow that low. You're actually taking tension away from the back musculature that you're trying to work, just for the sake of trying to say you're going to a certain range. So like I talked about in the push video, certain ranges which people cop out of because they're hard, there's also ranges in which people go into because they feel like they need to for Instagram or whatever, to make something look like a full range, when in reality, from a mechanical perspective, it's not actually a full range. So every time that we've done this movement, besides maybe one of the last reps, our elbow is in a position which takes our lat to its fully shortened, and that's all you need to do. Fully lengthen a muscle and fully contract it. Right guys, so we're moving on now to an upper back movement. So with the upper back, obviously, well, with anything with the back, our elbow finishing position dictates what musculature of the back we're trying to train. So with this one, we obviously want to finish it in line with our upper back musculature. So that involves the elbow finishing sort of, sorry mate, about up here. Okay, so not quite up in line with the rear delts, but more in line with the rhomboids and the upper back musculature. So this is actually really nice, this piece of kit. Fitgenics, which I've not seen before. I don't actually know where it's from, like what country, but they've made some decent stuff. Alright, so we just finished with the upper back row. My first set was horrendous. It was just terrible. This is why you film your sets, because it felt okay, but it was very much like my single arm dumbbell rows of the past, where the internal feel is alright, but the look is just not, it just doesn't go hand in hand. And sometimes it's okay to run with internal feel, and I've talked about this plenty of times in like my how to build a dense back. And I believe there's some movements that you can get away with just going with internal feel, but on that one, where it's sequenced like quite late in the session, and it's the only upper back movement we really have apart from the T-bar, which is a bit of upper back, you need to make it count. So the elbow needs to finish in the right spot, and you need to not use too much momentum. So I literally chucked like 30 kilos off and just stayed more accurate. Final move for the back, the assisted pull-up, something I'm a big fan of. I like pull-ups. I think they're a great exercise, and I think they're even better when you can have a little bit of an assistance, just to make you again more accurate, especially when it's placed so far in the session. I think bodyweight pull-ups and weighted pull-ups have their place, but you'd have to put them sort of at the front end in terms of exercise sequence. So yeah, this is a pretty lengthy session. Pull and legs are pretty long, but again, referring to my first point, if you're in it for entertainment value, like a quick 40-minute session, it's probably not going to do the do if you've got big goals. Drive, 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 drive. And hold. Yep, good. A difficult thing for us both now, since we've been like tidying up the execution, and we'll obviously continue to do that in Ultraflex, is just making sure that we don't bitch out on those contractions and holds. I feel like in some body parts, like especially my arms, I feel like I've just started training, to be honest. I've never been this sore. Like yesterday from push, my triceps are wrecked. I've never had soreness like that in my arms ever, so I absolutely know that I'm going to be able to grow quite a lot of muscle over a relatively short period of time by fixing these things and just being like even more meticulous with the way that I train, because that's what leveled me up from late 2018 until 2019. Like 2019 when I moved to Rotherham, I leveled up massively just from exercise selection and training with Cuba in the late portion of 2019, and then I think I'll level up again now by being even more meticulous with spending time where I've not spent time before in that shortened position. So we'll see. Big, huge arms incoming. Mistake with the reverse pec deck is that people think about elbows back rather than elbows out. So thinking about elbows to either side of the room, and you'll use your rear delts, and if you think back, you're just going to use your upper back. Same exercise we've just done over there, just with half the load, so it's pointless. So yeah, very intricate muscles require a little bit more thought process, arguably making sure that we're actually chasing a little bit of mind muscle connection should be advised on smaller body parts. And yeah, straddling the seat as well, as you've seen. Like for me, I have to straddle the seat to maintain stability. So like one leg forwards, one leg back. Loz again isn't tall enough to be able to do that, so she's just standing. But yeah, at Ultraflex, you'll be able to, I'm pretty sure she'll be able to like hook around the prime one. Yeah, this one's okay. This is the, so all of this stuff, if you just zoom in ads on this, so this Nautilus impact range is all, it's not Nautilus. So if anyone like buys this as a gym owner, be very careful, because this is not Nautilus stuff. You'll look at it and you'll think, oh, AJ said Nautilus is amazing, or someone said it's amazing, and you'll buy it and you'll realize that you've just bought basically a reupholstered Star Trek, which is a brand that Nautilus bought out. I'm not sure when they bought it out, but they've basically just plastered their name all over Star Trek stuff, and there's basically, I mean, none of it's really that good at all, really. The chest presses and the shoulder presses are woeful. The back pieces, God knows who made them. This is just me being very honest, but they're terrible pieces of equipment. And this is not just from, like, I've not just tried it once. I've trained in gyms pretty much all over the globe and played on every single piece of equipment, and I've come to find certain brands that really stand out to me. Reeling them off right now: Prime, Atlantis, Cybex, Gym 80, and that's about it, to be honest. There's some Life Fitness stuff that's pretty good, but yeah, that's about it. And obviously Gym Shop, but Gym Shop are sort of making recreations of kit that was already good. This shrug is like the best one I've ever used ever. It's the finishing point of it so perfect. Most shrug machines are like hybrid between like an RDL deadlift platform and a shrug, so they're not really built for a shrug. The finishing point's odd, the arm position is too wide, but this is really narrow and it arcs back, and you can really get a great sort of contraction in your traps, so it's lovely. You can load it really well as well. I think it's from a brand called Limitless, which I think is like a Swedish brand. I've never seen them before. Interestingly enough, like a gym called Phoenix Gym in West Sussex, East Sussex actually, I think. Depends where it is. I don't know why I'm thinking about that too much. But it's about 5 minutes from my dad's house, so that gym has loads of Gym Leco stuff coming in alongside Panata. So if you are like West Sussex, East Sussex, Sussex in general, Phoenix Gym is a great gym to train at. So really good kit. So check it out if you haven't already. Yes. So guys, if you liked the top that I just took off, not the process of me taking it off, I know you did though, keep your eyes peeled, because we're working on something. So yeah, we did no low back loading today, so we feel pretty fresh, and we're still posing after every session, both of us, whether it's clothed, unclothed, whatever floats our boats at specific times. I think for me, I will try and keep posing with posing trunks for as long as I can, especially whilst I'm still in two minds about competing next year. I need to know that my arse isn't getting too fat, essentially, because I talked to Cuba about this a lot, and both agreed that I can't afford to let my glutes get as soft as they did last time if I want to get more conditioned, which I know I need to if I want to compete as a pro or get another pro card. So that is where we're at. In these bits that you'll see of me posing, I'm about 8 to 9 pounds above stage weight. It depends, like we've eaten a bit later some nights. My last meal at the moment, which I want to change back to yogurt at some point, but the yogurt here is like 10 quid from Waitrose to get the faggy. So we've avoided that. So I'm having like some carbs pre-bed, which I don't usually have. So I'm definitely waking up heavier because like that bowl of oats I have must weigh like a kilo or something. So I'm going to change that back when I get home, and I'll obviously write out my full diet on Trained by JP when I get back. I'll also have to make a few changes as well to hers, which we've made about 4 million changes since she's been out here. Just it's like that hangover meme of her nutrition in her head. But anyway, so yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. I don't know whether this will be the last Dubai episode, but if it is, thanks very much for following along, and we'll be back in glorious Rotherham for the next one.